Okay, so we're going to use this Excel data, and it is called NST-EST2014-01. Okay, it's there in the zip file, and here is the table, and as you can see, this is population, the annual estimated population for the United States, okay, and Puerto Rico, and we have one row that has the entire grand total population, and then we have regions, and then we have state-wise population. And also we have the actual census as of April 1, 2010. Then we have estimates of base, and then population estimates as of July for these years. Now we want to bring this in and be able to use the population data in our visualizations. Okay. But when you bring it in, it's going to be like this, and you will not have, see, in a Tableau ready data will have one column for state, one column for the time period, which in this case would be year, and then one column should be for population. Then we can slice and dice based on different years and different states and be able to prepare visualizations. But a table like this is not going to, you're not, if you have a variable for 2001, variable for 2011, variable for 2012, it's not going to work. So we have to change the format. Of course, in Excel, you can copy paste each column, move it to the bottom and then move the next column to the bottom of that, which is messy. So that's why we're going to use the interpreter. So I'm going to close this. Okay. So first thing is to bring the data file in. So Excel, and bring it in. Okay, let's go ahead and move the data table in here, and you see there is all kinds of junk here. Okay, so we have these top 3 rows of the titled rows, and then we have the column titled row here, and then the actual values. And you notice that the states have a period before the first character is a period, which is a problem, because it's not with the period in front, Tableau is not going to recognize the geographical data. So we have to clean all of this up, and this is what is used for cleaning up data. So we have data doesn't look right, so we're going to use Tableau data interpreter. So click turn on. Okay. So now it automatically has cleaned up some part of the messy parts. Okay. So the top 3 rows of titles have gone, and then the column name row has been promoted to the field names, so which is good. But we still have a problem, because we don't want these 2 columns. Okay, and we want only these estimates. Okay, so what we're going to do is to select that column and select the next column also, like that. Now we can hide these 2 columns. Now whatever changes that we are making, okay, it does not affect the underlying raw data. It only makes modifications so that the modified form of the data is presented to you for visualization without messing up the underlying data itself. So click one of the 2 triangles here, and then you say hide, and that's gone. Okay, so now so far so good. Okay. So now we're going to rename the rest of the columns. Like we want to rename these as 2011, 2012, 2013, and 2015. So we start from here. So this should be renamed 2011. That should be renamed 2012. 13. 14. And 2015. Okay. Next, we have to get rid of these periods here. Okay, now select this column by clicking at the top. Then we have a command, it's called split, and this will automatically split the data. Okay. And now we have the state names without the period, and we have blanks for these five because there is no period in front of it. Now we're going to rename this column as state. Okay, so rename it to state. And notice that the column role says is ABC. So ABC indicates what about the column. The data type for this column is, the ABC label tells us that it is a text column. The values that you see are text values. So it could be anything. Right? But what we want, and the equal sign in front of it, that says what? The equal sign in front of it says it's a calculated column. It is not the it's not part of the original data. From the original data that we have modified something and we have brought it into a new column. Okay, now what we want to do here is to change it to geographic role. So the column would be considered a geographic, considered to have geographic information, not simply some text. Okay, and we want to change that to state/province. So Tableau now will understand. So when you use this column, it will know that this column consists of information about states. So a map is probably the best form of preparing presentation. Okay, now you see the ABC moniker is gone, and instead we have a globe. So that tells us that this column has geographical data. Okay. And finally, we need to take these 5 columns, which are kind of in a table format, which is like in Excel, this will be like a pivot table. Right? You have states going this way and here going this way, and the table has the population data. Instead, we want to have one column of population and then one column corresponding the year and then the state. Excel, when we get to the Excel part, you'll see that this process is called unpivoting. So this is a pivot table, and you are unpivoting a pivot table into columnar data. Okay. But Tableau uses the word pivot for this, so it's kind of the opposite. So you have to keep that in mind. So what we need to do is to select, very simple. So select all the columns that you want to convert from a tabular format into columnar format. Okay, and then we have an option for pivot. That's it. Click that, and the whole thing is now in columnar format, and we can go and change the name to here, and then this one to population. Visualization, build an example to validate the cleanup. So you move state to the mark shelf right here. Okay, when you do that, the map will be created. Okay. Now, right now we have just one central point. This is not any city or anything. Just one point at the middle of each state. Okay, so we have the lower 48, Alaska and Hawaii. Okay. Next, we want to move state and let's move state to filters, and what I'm going to do is to filter out the blanks. Remember the rows for United States and then the regions east, west, south, north were blanks for state, and therefore you uncheck that. So that would then all the unknowns will be gone. Okay. And suppose we want to filter for 2015. Okay, so move here into filter, and then we'll select 2015. Okay. So now the plot will contain only the 50 states and population estimate for 2015. And then we are going to move population to color. Okay. So here is the legend. So lighter color and dark, and as population increases, you have darker green. And you can change this. We'll look at how to change that a little later. So now we can also make the population appear. So if you click that mark, then you will see the populations all show up. Now, one problem here is that the population, when it is in this format, is kind of messy, right? So instead, if we can change this to a different format, which maybe, you know, if we can display population in thousands or population in millions, then it will not be that messy, right? So if you, to do that, what you have to do, so here this is the sum of the population. So format, go to pane, and then the default format, change that to, so this is standard. So if you go to custom, okay, and the units here, this will let you select the units. Okay, suppose we want it in millions, so select that one, and everything will change to millions. Oftentimes, especially population, if you express those in millions, it will be a lot easier to read. Okay.